Hey there, welcome to another episode of On Our Pursuit. I just wrapped up an awesome conversation. I swear every conversation just continues to get better and better. I have the best guests. This time was with my friend Justin Ochoa. Now Justin and I have gotten to know each other over the last year, centered around basketball, around the summer camps that are going on, some of the performance camps that I've sent Roman to. But Justin is a sports performance coach who specializes in working with basketball players, training everybody from up-and-comers like Roman to professional athletes who are playing overseas, WNBA, you name it, he is coaching them in and around the Indianapolis area. What I wanted to have him come on the show today and talk about was his journey to becoming an entrepreneur who uses creativity in his profession that is not usually a creative profession of sports performance, think athletic training, and kind of how he got there. The things I want you to pay attention to, just a couple. One, creativity is a theme that goes in and out of this conversation. Everything from the way he got his first job to the way he approaches working with his athletes. Justin is embodying the inner creator that he has found and using it in his profession. And interestingly enough, I don't think he would be near as successful or happy if he wasn't able to express his creativity. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is, for lack of a better word, the hustle. And I know hustle culture is something that is, I think, frowned upon, as it should be, but Justin hustled his way to getting to where he is today, and he did it in a way that doesn't seem exhausting or what you might think when it comes to hustle. But I think hustle is the best term because of basketball and where he's coaching, but just the way he was able to find his ways and capitalize on opportunities and do what he needed to do to pursue the career that he wanted, the way he wanted to do it, and ultimately bet on himself. So those are the two things I think will really stand out. There are a ton of nuggets. I plan on making a bunch of clips out of this because Justin had a lot of wisdom to share, and even though he's only early in his career and running his own business. So tune into this episode. I think it's great. I ask for it at the end, just in case you don't make it to the end, why don't you take a moment, if you're watching this on YouTube, head on down to the comments, and as you find something that resonates with you from Justin's story, share it with him. I want these comments not to be for me, but to be for the guest. Let him know how his story, this conversation, impacted you so he can see the impact he's having on other people. So head down to the comments and leave your favorite part of his story, what motivated you, or what you're going to do because of what he did, how he inspired you. Share that with him. I would really appreciate it. So with that, let's get to the episode with Justin Ochoa. All right, so now we're into it. So we'll ease into it, but so this is returning the favor of being on your podcast, which was a lot of fun. So I told you before, we'll have the video editors cut away like right now, and then they'll show something from there.
Because we have the same name, so when I introduce you, it's gonna feel awkward.
I appreciate being here, and yes, it's weird to call each other Justin and like be, because I'll never talk third person. If you ever hear me refer to myself as Justin, smack the shit out of me. Yeah, exactly. So, for those that missed the intro, if you skipped that, I have my friend Justin Ochoa here. I have no problem saying Justin, like you said, it's weird to talk to your own name. But as I think about like the pursuit and following your passions and going non-traditional paths, like I look at what you're doing, what you're building, and I'm like, this is pursuit. So I wanted to have you on and kind of talk through your journey, what you've learned, the trials, the tribulations, and all that good stuff, because I think it's something that will resonate with people and motivate. I don't know how many people out there are athletes watching and listening, might want to be a trainer one day, but you can take what it is that you're doing and apply that to any profession. Mm-hmm. So with that, I always like to have my guests introduce themselves. So I'm going to flip the mic to you and let you introduce yourself to the world, however you want to do that.
Sweet. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, too. I really got a lot of respect for you and, our friendship and some of the things I'm learning from you. So it's great to kind of get out of my element on my podcast and be the one that's really in the hot seat. So
it's weird to be on the other side of the mic.
It is. It's like, oh, now I got to do all the talking. So hopefully I don't go on too many rants, but I'll try to do my best to reel it in.
You're good.
So, yeah, like you said, man, I'm a sports performance coach, primarily in the basketball sector. I've been training for 10 years now, and so I've seen kind of all the peaks and valleys of a career. I'm sure there'll be more peaks, more valleys as I continue my career. But yeah, I own Pace Fitness Academy, which is kind of in a weird spot right now because we're going through a transition from like a brick and mortar facility to more of like just a service provider, and then getting back into our facility, which is what we're building in 2023. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. From Indianapolis native, just as yourself, and I think I grew up in the best era of basketball in Indiana.
The reason we laugh at that is on our episode, I said that my era was the best era of basketball in Indiana.
So I'm bad at bios because talking about myself, I just haven't mastered it yet. I haven't mastered the way, like, to, tell people what I do without being like, yeah, I'm that guy. Like, so I'm fine tuning the intro, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
There's no right intro,
right?
And it is awkward to talk about yourself,
right?
But the reason I like that is, one of the things I always like to lead off with is being a father and a husband, first and foremost, because a lot of times we always go, especially on a podcast, we go straight to our professional lives, and that's an important part of who I am and what I do, but it's not the most important thing,
right?
And there might be things about you that, despite being friends, we really just met in the last year, so I might not know that I might miss out on. So
that's true.
So that's why I always like to give everybody the chance. But yeah, and your confidence of being that dude will come across in the other things that we talk about. So it doesn't need to be in the intro,
right?
And truthfully, I think a humble intro followed up with you dropping all the knowledge that you have, like that's the way to go. So,
that is a good recipe. Yeah.
All right, so I mentioned before, when I think about your path from what it is that I know, and we have to give our friend Derek Grant some credit, because that's how we got connected.
For sure.
Through
amazing
Dizzy
guy.
Runs and through the other things up there, and then just introducing us. It's like, hey, you guys should know each other.
Right.
So, I don't know how many people realize how difficult it is to be a trainer, an athletic trainer, an athletic trainer for professional athletes as well. And one of the things I've always curious is, was there ever a time as you started to go down, we're going to get to how you got there, but I want to start with this, because confidence is something that a lot of people lack. And I've got to imagine it is intimidating potentially to go to a professional athlete when you are not a professional athlete.
Right.
We're never a professional athlete. And, we're good at basketball, but growing up in one of the best eras in Indianapolis, maybe you didn't stand out as much as you would if you were somewhere else.
Right.
Like, coming across. So the point of that ramble is to kind of kick us off. How did you overcome any head trash that you may have had? And did you find that these professional athletes weren't trusting of you because you weren't a professional athlete in the past, or did that matter to them?
What's crazy is in strength and conditioning, sports performance, like this whole world that I'm in, when I first got into the industry, I was so obsessed with getting all the accolades, certifications, and all of like the traditional things that you would think you would need. So at one point, I had every single certification that the National Academy of Sports Medicine had to offer.
Okay.
Part of that is because of how they run their programs. You have CEUs, or continuing education units. You have to get 2 every 2 years to recertify your license. And each certification is worth 1.9.
Okay.
So you have to get 2, you know what I'm saying, to exceed 2.0. So I literally just had to do that. So at one point I had like 12. Like I had like prenatal training certification, like stuff I didn't care about. And the reason being is because I thought that all of those, like, letters behind my name would validate me as a trainer. Like, all the accolades and all the certificates that I got would be like, oh, yeah, I want to work with that guy. And I'm not saying that it didn't, but what I found the most success in, like, especially pertaining to professional athletes, was just, like, really just being myself, which is a person that is like here to help, and somebody who's, seeking out ways that I can provide solutions to people, whether it be athletes or, anybody else in whatever space. So when I would start to get these relationships going with these athletes, they never asked me like, hey, what was your playing career like? Hey, what was your educational background on this topic? What certificates do you have? They didn't even ask me, like, what are we going to be doing? It was more of like, we built a trust, and I showed support to them in aspects of their life that didn't involve like bouncing the ball or putting the ball in the rim. So the more I did that from a genuine space, the more I saw that people were gravitating towards me because of like how much I cared about them as a person, and not about like how much clout I could suck from them or how much attention we could get if we worked together. It was just like approaching it for the right reasons, which at the time like takes no effort. It's just like how I'm operating, and that's what I do. You know what I mean? So it was crazy that like it never came up. It was just an organic thing where people saw ways that I could help them, and then they wanted to be a part of the program because of the results that they got, and not necessarily like what accolades I had or anything like that. So I don't know if that answers the question like solely, but that's just kind of my takeaway, the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, no, there's no right answer. And whether that answered the question or not, because I forget exactly what the question was. I was so into your answer and like picking up the things I wanted to dive deeper on. You mentioned being yourself, and authenticity is something I think is really, really important and something you can't fake. And I also think that when you're being your authentic self, as I've gone down this rabbit hole of quantum physics and like energy and the energy we put out, there's probably something about you that like we can't see and we can feel. I think it's why we hit it off so quickly.
Right. Yeah.
It's just you put out this vibe, this energy that is trusting, and these athletes know that this guy really has my best interests.
Right.
You trust your gut, your intuition's you're rarely wrong. You're passing that invisible test right away just because of who you are. And one of the things that I appreciate the most, and why there's you and then my buddy Zach Sigmund, who trains as well on the west side of town that I went to college with. Like, you two would be the only two trainers in town I would send either of my boys to, because Silas doesn't care about basketball yet.
Nah.
And the reason is, I think you both do this, but I think from what I've seen, you might do a little bit more. I like that you train, I can tell, the way that you think the game should be played.
Right.
So, like, if I think about being a financial advisor, there are textbook answers, and textbook answers rarely translate into real life. The same thing with basketball. Dribble, pivot, jump stop. Like, go off, I got taught to shoot a right-hand layup. Go off the left. It's connected to a string, and that's how you finish the layup. Well, nowadays, it's become acceptable. Whatever foot is convenient and gets you up quick enough, jump off of that.
Right.
And watching you train and the little videos you put out, to me, that's just like, you're not teaching because that's the new trend. You're teaching because that's the way you think it really is the best way to be. It just so happens that it's the more modern place. So I like that you're teaching and instructing and coaching to a more modern level. And when I think about the younger kids who have the opportunity to work with you, like, you're getting feedback from professional athletes that then you can in turn take to these younger kids. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's crazy because, like you said, like how we grew up playing was so traditional. And I think you said on my podcast, like, your game was meant for a different era.
Oh, I was ahead of my time.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so cool to watch the game evolve and watch how skilled these young kids are at such a young age. And not saying that, phenoms or standouts didn't occur when we were growing up, but now it's like everybody is so skilled. There are ways to separate yourself beyond just like the skills of the game. So you got intangibles, like mental toughness, or whatever that means to you. Just your approach to the game, like being a professional before you're a professional, is a big thing that we talk about. You have to approach it like, yeah, it's still a game. You want to make it fun, but if you want to be good at it, my dad used to always say, like, if you want to be good at it, I shouldn't have to beg you to come. Right. Like, you should have to beg me. And I will be there every time you need me, but I'm not begging you. Like, if you want to put the work in, you can put the work in. So I don't really know where I was going with that, but like the game has evolved so much and the skills are there. Like, they're up, like level up. Like, you're seeing 9-10-year-olds doing things that we were probably doing, like, going into freshman year, So how are you separating yourself? You separate yourself like up here, and some of the habits that you build and some of the way that you approach the game, without making it too serious, too early. I think there's a lot of things that you can do there, and teaching them, like you said, one of the things that I do is like, we just watch it from the top down. Like, what are the best players in the world doing? And I'm working with some of them, so I can personally tell you what they're doing and pass that down to a sixth grader. That's crazy to me. Like I didn't have access to that, and I'm blessed to be able to bridge that gap, you know what I mean, for certain athletes in this area that work for me. And then social media, if you pay attention, like it's just really cool to be in this time right now. It's different.
So I'm going to look at the camera real quick. And Roman Castelli, I want you to hear what Justin just said. One of the ways you separate yourself is up here.
Yeah.
This is your dad speaking to you now. I love you very much, but right here. All right, Roman? All right, back to the podcast. I can let that go. Back to the podcast.
Love
it. Going back to, like, building your presence as a trainer and a coach as well. Did you ever have any reservations about coaching and training the way you thought was right versus the textbook? Like I think it's easy to fall back going back to the designations and everything that you had.
Right.
Like that's why I got my CFP, was that brought me confidence, it brought me credibility, I thought. And I do think it does, especially when you're getting started.
Right, yeah.
But like every year when my dues are for the CFP designation, I'm like, I don't really need this thing anymore.
No.
But I keep on doing it because I support the cause. But nonetheless, did you ever question or think twice about, all right, I could go train the traditional route and probably do okay, but I would maybe be teaching ways I don't fully believe in, or I'm just going to do my own thing and take the chance that maybe people don't want it, but I'm going to be my truest, authentic self, and I'm going to coach and train the way I think is best. Did you ever have any back and forth?
I would say for like the first 5 years of my career, I was like just regurgitating what all the best trainers that I thought were the best were doing. You know what I mean? Which I think we all do. That's how you learn. Like you steal things or put your own spin on things, and then you develop your own style. But something you said like about the textbook versus real world, that became a big thing for me when I started to like truly ingrain myself more into basketball. And I've worn like so many hats in the game of basketball, from coach to trainer to skill development to kind of like an analyst role where I'm more of like a consultant. I just think that it developed on its own, like organically, by me critically thinking and questioning the norm, not to be like not to push back on the norm or push back on status quo, but to be like, how can I get more out of my athletes? How can I help people more? How can I, push my own program forward to get better results? And when I started to critically think and started to like actually question some of the things that I traditionally believe were right, I would see in the real world they weren't really going down like that. So this happened in the weight room and on the court. So like primarily I'm known as a strength conditioning coach. I didn't really add that to the bio or the intro, but like if you were to ask somebody in the space like, what is Justin Ochoa, they would probably say he's a strength conditioning coach or a sports performance coach. Now I'm kind of like getting towards he's a basketball performance coach because I'm starting to specialize in that. But in the strength conditioning world, it's such a young field that everybody, probably 20 years, 30 years ago, like that wasn't a real job. Like a strength coach wasn't a real job. Right. You were just a football coach that lifted when they grew up, so you're in charge. So it's such a new field that for us coming into the industry, I'm 33, so relatively young, in a young field, like you just believe the textbook. You believe what you're taught. You believe all this stuff. So I didn't question it until I started to look for more, look for ways I could help more, and started to realize that like some of the things in the textbook never happened in real life. And critically think and just ask yourself why, from a curious standpoint, not so much like a contrarian standpoint, but why there's like a big thing is absorbing force, right? Like in a textbook, it'll say like you have to teach athletes to land before they can jump. What? That doesn't even make sense to me now. Like I can't even process that in my head. So you have to teach a pro athlete how to land before you can do jump training with them. But when they were 8 years old, jumping off a swing and landing and rolling into a somersault out of it and didn't break their leg, that's built in. You know, it's built into our physiology. So there's all these stupid drills that we implement to teach athletes how to land, to absorb force. But like force can't be absorbed. You can look in any science or physics book out there, it can't be absorbed. It's not a thing. Like, where does it go? Like, do you absorb it into your body like a sponge? So like I started to question things like that and realized like the answers were not in the textbook. And then so I watch games, I watch film, I watch people lift, I watch people train, I watch people play, and all the things that I'm questioning are presenting the answers right in front of me. And it's not what we traditionally believed. It's what's actually happening. So then you find ways to work that into training. So instead of like absorbing force, like you teach people how to redirect force or mitigate force to land in a favorable position, or to what I call extend the landing. So if you look at a guy landing from a dunk, they're never going to land on 2 feet at the same time, square to the ground, like in this athletic position. Like they're going to land probably one leg first. They're going to lean this way. Their arms are going to go back this way to give themselves the balance that they need. And then they're going to return to a more balanced position on 2 feet before they, so it's all these things that go into human movement that we thought were like so black and white, but they're not. So you have to watch the game, and you have to watch individuals, and you have to customize what they need and help them with their own strategies, because how John Morant lands is different than how I land.
Right.
Because he's coming from about 2 feet higher than I'm landing from. So I'm going to land safe and more balanced than him because of a lack of my athletic production. So we should train different.
Right.
And so the textbook says that we should train the same. So I just started to question things like that. And then it led me down this path of meeting other people that question things like that, and meeting more and more of these coaches that are like questioning things. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's critical thinkers out there. And then when that happens, you get a community and you start to bounce ideas off each other, and then that is basically how you grow as a professional. It's just by constantly seeking better ways to do things, and coming from a space of wanting to find more solutions and not wanting to just like give backlash to everything, but more of like, I'm curious, I'm genuinely curious, like how can I help more? Because as you know, to bring it back to money, it's like if I can help more people get better results. People get better results, then that makes me more of a sought after coach. And at the end of the day, coaches don't like to talk about money because we want to pretend like we're just in it to serve and serve and serve, and we are. But like you said, I'm a father of two. I'm a husband. I got bills to pay. I got mouths to feed. I'm not ashamed to say like, I have to make money from this, or it's not a job. It's a hobby. And I don't want my hobby to be 12 to 15 hours a day. That's a job. So that's kind of, that's rant number one for the day.
No, it's a societal thing. So like the conversation about money's always been taboo.
Yep.
And it wasn't until recent, but like now Pursuit has this little, I won't say it's a tagline, but the mission is connect mind, body, soul, and money.
Like that.
And like I think I shared on your podcast, like I had to overcome the desire to make more money. Like the desire to make more money is not driven because I want more nice things. I want a little bit more money for my family to do a little more travel. Yeah. But other than that, like we're good. The reason I want to make more money is I want to pour back into people. Like I want to do good things with that. Right. And for most of my career, I was afraid to make a goal of I want to make X amount of dollars because I thought that was greedy. And then I talked to some mentors and did some reading and just self-reflection. Like, like what's greedy about wanting to make more money if the reason for the money is to go help people? Right. And then someone said, there's only so much money that will circulate. We'll take away, the Fed can print more money like that. Right. Okay. But in
Which
general,
is crazy, by the way.
In general, there's only so much money out there. And it can go into the hands of people who are going to do good, or it can go into the hands of people who are going to do bad. And if you are going to do good, then by all means, go grab as much of that money and pull it away from the bad and go do good with it. And those little shifts in perspective made it okay for me to say, all right, yes, I need to continue to do things the right way, but I need to continue to push forward to make more money because I have a greater purpose than just providing for my family. I want to help other people. I'm willing to bet, and I'll go on the record to say that you are undercharging for your services. And the reason for that is, I mean, it's a byproduct, but I think the biggest reason for that is you are willing, and you have been willing, to risk. And the risk is that you are thinking outside the box, and you are critically thinking and then solving on your own. Like, you're coming up with your own solutions.
Right.
And a lot of people are afraid to do that because if they're wrong, then they're wrong, and they made a mistake. And like, by taking that risk, it's making you a better trainer, but also athletes should be willing to pay for somebody to think outside the box, right? Customize it for them. Say, hey, yeah, Ja, you should be training like me. I don't care what the textbook says. Here's the reasons why. Right. And from my expertise and my studying and my inquisitive mind, here's what I've come up with. So I think that very few trainers, like you probably live in a bubble where you're surrounded by critical thinkers. Yeah. Because you say you build a community. And this is kind of like me as an advisor. I'm surrounded by advisors who think like I do, but then when I take a step back and look at the greater advisor community, like, we're rare. Like, trainers like you, I'm willing to bet, are rare. They're probably becoming more and more because people see you doing it, and that you give other trainers the confidence and permission to go think outside the box, which is what my goal was to the profession, was that I wanted to shake shit up. Yeah. In silly ways, like wearing Jordans and T-shirts to conferences, and or telling people to embrace who they are, and if you have tattoos, show them, and be you. Like, that was one of the ways that I felt I could shake up financial services. Right. I think you shake up personal training by saying, hey, like, there's some benefit to the textbooks. There's things you need to understand, but don't be boxed in by that. Right. Like, be a creator. As a trainer. For sure. All right, my watch is going off. We're gonna keep this in. Bet. So I wanna show this to all of those aspiring content creators and folks out there. The cameras only run for 20-some minutes. You gotta be your own. You gotta be your own crew. You gotta go. Yeah, like, one day there will be a crew of people. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Oh, you know what? I didn't even start mine the first time, so we're only gonna have a little bit of me, or none of me, because it's not even recording. Hey, it's all good. Right. The show is about you anyway. It's all good. This camera over here. Look at that. And we're going to keep all those imperfections in. Boom, baby. I love it. Because I love it. I hope the podcast just shows people that have been afraid to hit play. Yep. Because of all these things. Like, that camera isn't recording. This one I had to stop. But we keep on rolling. So, no, I like that. So back to that. I want to draw attention to the creativity that you're bringing to your profession. Because I think, I've talked about other shows, that, like, we all have an inner creator, and I think that our creator, however we want to express ourselves, you've chosen to express yourself in one way, in the way you approach training, that is a great guide for helping us figure out what it is that we want out of life and where we want to go. Yeah. I don't know if you have any comments to that, but maybe I do have a question for you on that. Talk about the importance of being creative and bringing that creativity to what it is that you do. Yeah. So it's crazy, man. Like, I've always been creative my whole life. And I've had different dreams throughout my life, like different careers that I wanted to pursue, and things that I like you said, I don't even know if you know certain things about me, but like, I've always had this element of creativity. And so when I was growing up in elementary and middle school, I was a big artist. Okay. Like, I loved to draw. That turned into, like, a love for fashion. And so me and my dad would, like, customize shoes growing up, customize jeans. Like, you know, I grew up, like, solid, you know what I mean? Like, middle class, lower middle class family. Like, I didn't get everything I wanted, but my dad and I would make stuff that we couldn't afford. Like, back when ripped jeans first came out, stuff like that, my dad had, like, a Dremel, right? And so we would take the Dremel to the jeans and fray them out or rip them out. We would paint shoes, like customized shoes, get like flat white Vans or like knockoff Vans from Walmart, paint like flames on them and stuff. So it makes me think of the Biggie lines, sewing alligators on the shirt. Yeah, like, we would do that for real, like, and really do that. And I just remember going to like Champs, you know what I mean? 2 for $89.99. He would get 2 fresh white pairs of, like, New Balances, the 574s, which were, like, not cool back then. They're cool now, but, like, we would customize them and stuff. So anyway, then I get to college, and, like, I swore I wanted to be, like,
a fashion designer, so I started a streetwear brand, and that helped me like get through school. Like then I got a job at the bookstore. They started carrying my brand at the bookstore,
I didn't know
like
this
on
story.
Ball State's campus. Like 2 bookstores on campus had my brand, and 1 store on IU's campus.
What was the brand?
It was called Locomotives Design.
Okay.
So it went by LMD, but half of it was like streetwear, half of it was like a graphic design company where I'd help. Like I was really big in like the rap scene, like at that time locally, and so I'd help with like album art, just like single covers, website design, stuff like that. So I've always been creative, and people are probably like, "How the hell did this dude become a trainer?" Right? Like, but well, I'm sure we'll get into that too.
Keep it going.
Sports
Tell
is
us
my
how you got
life.
there, yes.
So, long story short, I've always been creative, and so it's just like this, like non-tangible part of my life. Like I cannot just keep it simple sometimes, sometimes to a fault. Like my wife, she makes fun of me. She'll probably listen to this. Her famous line is like, you're always adding something extra. Like I'll cook, right? I'll make some pancakes. Like how hard is it to make pancakes? Just follow the thing on the box, right? And I'll add some extra flair, like something extra, whether it be like some sprinkles or I'll add like protein powder, sneak it into our kids' diet, like always adding something extra. So when I approach my job now, it's like, it's just what I have to do. It's how my brain is wired. I don't know any other way other than to take something that is standard and try to add something to it that adds value, whether it be in like a form of creativity for, to keep an athlete's interest or to make it more effective, whatever the case may be. I'm just constantly, my brain is like never off. It's always like, how can we make this better? How can we tweak this? How can we X, Y, Z? And so to answer your question, like I think for people out there to be creative, if you're not like me, where I would say it's like unconscious at this point, just comes natural. You just go back to asking that question, like, is there a better way? Can I add something to this to gain value? Other things I ask are like, what are the people, for me it's athletes, but like what do the athletes think or say about it? And sometimes you'll have to ask for that feedback. So if it's in the space of like financial services, you can talk to your clients, ask for feedback surveys, anything like that. So I'm constantly just having dialogue with myself or others about what are the ways that we can improve, because I think people are afraid of innovation sometimes because they don't think they're capable of making those innovations, but because they're afraid of being wrong, right? I've made up drills that sucked, like, tossed them out. You know what I mean?
There's another fear out there that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's the fear of success.
Yeah.
You innovate and you get it right. And now all of a sudden, like for so long, you've been riding kind of under the radar, living a good life. And now you take this chance, you think outside the box, you innovate, and it's great. And now you have this new standard that you feel you have to live to.
Yeah.
So, like, no one will say they're afraid of succeeding.
That's facts.
But, like, there's a fear of success. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's very true. That's something that I have experienced. Like, and I'm not saying I'm successful. I've reached some levels of success, but I'm not where I want to be. But I think early in my career, I held back on some of this creativity, fighting my own subconscious like way of life, because I was like, if this pops, I'm 24, people are gonna look like the OGs of the industry are gonna look at me like, who the hell is this young kid, like thinking he's gonna reinvent the wheel. But the thing is, it's like once you just, like you said, just open up, be authentic to yourself, and not worry so much about what other people think, then you can overcome those fears. Because if you're right with yourself, like if you believe in yourself and if you accept yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think. Like I tell Julian this all the time. Like my oldest, he's like really shy, and just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, and so he asks me questions all the time about like, did you ever do this when you were a kid, or did anybody ever do this to you when you were a kid? Like, not that he gets bullied, but by any means, but sometimes he's just like, he's an outcast sometimes. And I'm like, look, bro, if you love yourself, if you believe in yourself, if you have the ability to know that like you're enough and you got what it takes to do whatever you need to do, it doesn't matter what anybody else think about you, because you have you, and you'll always be your biggest advocate if you play your cards right. And for a certain point in time, I didn't have that for various reasons. But once I got back to that and learning more about myself, I realized like, let's rock. Like I have what it takes. I'm ready for it. If it pops, I'm ready. Like I'm built for this. So if it happens and I end up getting attention, fame, success, whatever that case may be, I can handle it. So I don't know if that answers, that's rant number 2 for the day.
No. It was good. So when do you think you got to the point where you were like confident in yourself? Like, is it recent? Was it years ago? Because I have a follow-up question depending on when this was.
So I've had it and lost it.
Okay.
And got it back.
Okay.
Multiple times. When I was in high school, I had it. And it was too much. Like I had no base to have the amount of confidence that I had. I had it. Then I lost it in college. And then I got it back when I started like getting more creative and finding more success and not making the lifestyle choices that I was making in college. Then I got it back. Then I got out of college. I lost it again because I took a job, my first job out. Like, so a little bit about me, like I didn't major in exercise science. I actually majored in telecommunications. So look at me, Mike and the camera, like I'm using my degree.
Right.
I majored in that and I didn't realize. So I said I lost it. I lost it because I lost basketball. And I realized I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I wasn't good enough to play at the next level. And I despised basketball and was a little bit burnt out too. And so when about my junior year came around, I started to miss basketball again because it was such a big part of my life. And it became my identity that I realized that I lost myself for those couple of years. So when I started to get it back was when I started to get back into basketball, into coaching, into learning about training, kind of like getting back in shape and in better shape myself, and ran into some health issues like that kind of led to that. But then I got it back. Then I lost it again when I graduated because I started working at a radio station because I didn't have the degree that I needed to do what I wanted to, which is why I got every certification that the NASM offered, so I could like overly provide the academic background for myself on these resumes. Because your first job is really based on your resume. Like you're coming out of school, you're taking entry level jobs, right? So for me, I couldn't get a job at a gym yet because I didn't have what they wanted academically or from like a traditional standpoint. So I worked in the radio station and I lost it again. And then I started my training business on the side where I trained before and after going into my 9 to 5. Then I got it back again. Then I did that for a year until I had enough clients where I could just make the leap of faith and say, F this job, I'm out. It's not for me. And then from that point on, I think I had it. I think I got it back, and I realized like why I got it, and it always came back to just me being me. Like me in a radio station at a 9 to 5 wasn't me. Like taking orders from people that I just knew didn't work as hard as me. Like even at the radio station, I worked my ass off. Like it's crazy. Like I look back and I'm like, damn, I was really good at that job that I hated just because of how I'm wired. Like I always want to just get the most out of any situation I'm in. But ever since I left and got that first job training, I knew why I was able to get to the point of where I wanted to be. And then I never lost it because I'm like, that's why. Like the reason why I'm here is because I just was me. And it's okay if not everybody likes that. Like you're not going to always please everybody. You're not going to always like be liked or appreciated in every room you're in. But as long as you're you, then I can live with that, because again, going back, like I know that I accept myself, so I know like as long as I'm being true to me, I'm good. You know what I mean? My family loves me, obviously. I love myself, so we're good. Like that's all I need. Everything else is extra credit.
All right, sorry for the quick interruption, but you should have expected a quick advertisement by now. Want to make sure you're aware of the Weekly Pursuit. The Weekly Pursuit is the weekly email I send out on Saturday or Sunday. I give myself some flexibility as I'm navigating my own pursuit that's designed to help you connect mind, body, spirit, and money. So in here, you'll get some original thoughts from me, some curated content that I found very valuable to help you while you're on your pursuit. The Weekly Pursuit is also the first place I go to when it comes to new drops, hoodies, hats, things of that sort, and also to let people know when there's going to be another collective that will be coming up probably in February, finalizing those details there. If those things are interested, you want to be first to know. The Weekly Pursuit is the best place to find out that information first, and also where we have cool collaborations like we just had last week with Yogi Athlete, a guided meditation that was only advertised mainly through the Weekly Pursuit. We did a little bit outside, but eventually everything Pursuit is going to live on the Weekly Pursuit. You want to subscribe if you don't want to miss out. You'll find out after the fact and be disappointed. How can you subscribe? Great question. Head on over to pursuit.co. That's PRST.co. And right now there'll be a little box that pops up and you can subscribe there. I'm working on getting the landing page set up properly and working with my Convert Kit. For those creators out there, you might know what I'm talking about. I haven't figured out how to match it up right now, so we'll just use the pop-up. So pursuit.co, PRST.co. The pop-up comes underneath. Subscribe to the Weekly Pursuit. You'll start getting an email every week and you'll be first to know of all the cool things going on with Pursuit. All right, let's get back to this awesome conversation with Justin.
This episode is so good. I folded up like we're
We're just talking now, yeah.
I have things I want to come back to at the end. I don't want to forget to ask but like this is like what you described is what I hope that this brand and these shows and what it is I'm doing with Pursuit helps other people find. And I want to highlight some of them just because to me it's obvious, but I don't know if everybody picks up on the things I'm picking up. So first and foremost, creativity is a big part of your happiness. And when you're happiest, you're able to be your best and do your best, and success follows that. So finding how you want to express yourself is what I connect to creativity. We all have it in us. So that's a big part of it. That you got to the point where you realize that you only need to make sure that you're doing things for yourself. And that sounds selfish, but it's not. Right. Because the reality of it is the people who walk into the room that don't like Justin Ochoa, it's not they don't like you. Like we're mirrors to everybody. There's something that you are doing or something about you that reflects on them that they don't like about themselves. So maybe they wish they had the courage to go out and follow their passion. Maybe they had the wish to be, maybe they wish they could be as creative in their craft as you are in yours. And because they can't do it, they hate you because you can. So when you
big fact.
Yeah, when you understand that all of the criticism that we get from others is actually directed back at the person who's giving it. We just think it's about us. It's not about us. So being able to be comfortable and confident in what it is that you do is an important part of it as well. And then the other part of it that I love is that you've been able to build a career, which I think is leading to the life that you want for you and your family by following your passion. But you did it in steps. You did the training before and after work. Maybe part of that process was to find out, do you really love it? Do you really want it to be more?
For sure.
It allowed you to build up your client base while you had an income, and then you made that leap of faith. So I think a lot of times when people talk about follow your passion and do what you want to do, they paint it under this facade that it's just like, you just got to go do it.
Right.
Like there's some truth to that, but there's smart ways to do it. There's planning ways to go do it. So I think that again, I didn't know all of the details of your story till today, and there's still a lot I don't know, but uncovering more and learning more about you and your journey just is even more so of like you are everything that Pursuit is meant to be.
That's dope.
And I think that's really cool. And the other thing, going back on the creativity piece, and then I'll shut up because the show is about you, but I want to make sure we pull certain things out. Like I love that you are a creator, but not in the traditional sense, because I think when people hear you need to be creative, you have an inner creator. At least me. So I'm putting this thought out there. I used to always go to art or music, and that's not me. But I am a creator in the sense that I enjoy doing these podcasts. I enjoy doing video. I enjoy writing. That's creative. That's me expressing myself in a different form than just being a financial advisor. So the fact that you can go to a textbook-driven profession and bring your inner creator and creativity to it to do better work, you can be creative in any environment.
Yeah.
You can work a 9-to-5 job and bring creativity to what it is that you do and stand out, find success, and good things come, because so many people are going to do what everybody else is doing. And the second you add your spin on it and have success with it, you're going to stand out. And the final piece I would say to this is, and I'm curious what you think about it, is going back to being confident in yourself and, you know, being happy with who you are. If you're trying to figure out how to bring your creativity to what it is that you do, like, just put yourself in your customer or your consumer seat. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And then create for yourself, because there's going to be other people who like the things the way you like them. So some people might like the sprinkles in the pancakes. Not everybody will.
Right.
Who cares about it? Like, they can go get pancakes without sprinkles.
Right.
The people who want pancakes with sprinkles are coming to your house because that's what you do. Like, just think of yourself and create for yourself first, and that will help you kind of tap into the creator, and then maybe from there it grows. But you've got to give it a chance to flourish.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like you said, people might not want the pancakes with sprinkles, but there's also like an art to disagreeing or agreeing to disagree, especially like in my space. Like I've mentioned that community. We don't all agree like on every single thing, but we're all in the same community because of how we critically think. So there are certain times where like somebody might put out something that I'm like, I don't like that. Or I might put out something that one of my buddies is like, I'm not really rocking with that. But that's okay, because it causes you to critically think about what your own outputs or methods are. And if you like them and you have success, objective or subjective success, then that's fine. Like, we're big, like strength conditioning, it's big on like studies. Like, you know, if it's not supported by the research, like, don't put it in your program, blah, blah, blah. But I think like anecdotes are super powerful and important, especially in research, because like they're doing research on like lab rats and like untrained college frat boys. You know what I mean? Like, not 6'8" freak of nature athletes that have like the DNA that we've never seen before. So I think personal anecdotes are like super important too. So I just want to throw that in there. Like, it's okay to be like finding out as you go and pitching what doesn't work or what doesn't get good feedback, and keeping what you like or what drives the results that you want. So yeah, it just goes back to, again, it's all about like, if you create with the purpose of finding a new solution, then that'll lead you. Like, that'll lead you to where you need to be, because you'll know like if you're getting that solution or not. And if you are, you can keep it and develop it. If you're not, then it's okay. You try, like it didn't work. Like how many times did somebody try to invent something that didn't work, and then the next thing came and popped? Like I guarantee you, I don't know this to be a fact, but I bet you if you did research, somebody tried to invent Twitter before Twitter and called it something different, and it probably flopped. Like it was probably a social media that was the same concept as Twitter or very close, and it probably came and went and flopped. But for whatever reason, Twitter stuck. Same with Instagram. Same with like any of these new developments, like all this stuff. It's just all about like how you present it and how you pursue it, and whether or not you stick with it long enough for it to actually work. So, yeah.
It kind of makes you think of like the overnight success that took 10 years to build.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's like one day that's going to be your story, is that people are going to look at you. Like I look at Chris Brickley, who's like one of my favorite trainers to follow. Like, you would think that, oh, he's just all of a sudden famous. He's training all these guys. He's got a Puma shoe. He's in the games. But what you don't realize is the last 12 or 13 years, he was like living on people's couches and stuff, and just training for free.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of work that puts up. Nothing of, very rarely does something happen right out the gate.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing to point out. I had a thought that you were saying, but I forgot about it, so it couldn't have been that important, or it'll come back. Well, I don't want to get to the questions yet. I guess, thinking of, let's go back to the leap of faith, and that can kind of take us to, I'm going to hit you with your favorite thing to do, is ask the questions that you don't even know are coming.
Yeah, I love that.
And I don't think mine are as good as yours, but the leap of faith, you know, a lot of us have families that we use as a reason not to make the leap of faith, rightfully so. How did you work through that leap of faith? I mean, you mentioned already you had enough clients, but like, what other things did you, talking to your wife, like what things did you do that allowed you to go from working the job, training on the outside hours to, all right, I'm going to go all in and do this?
I've made a couple leaps, you know what I mean? So the first one was just about me getting into the industry. So this is 2012, 2013 at the radio station. I'm like, yeah, I want to be a trainer. I'm going to be a trainer. I always think that when you are asking something from someone, like a job, you need to present them with something that you can give them, like add value to them. So it's like, oh, like you shouldn't hire me. You shouldn't go to a job interview like, yeah, I really love fitness and I love training and I think it'd be awesome to work in a gym. Like, that's why you should hire me. So for me, knowing that, I was able to say I went to a new gym. It was brand new. It was less than 6 months old. I said, I have a telecommunications degree with a background in marketing. I've worked for the last year at a radio station in their marketing department. I also have been fine-tuning my personal training skills, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But you're a brand new gym, so it sounds like you're going to need some help with marketing. You probably need some staff to help you grow. So you're probably going to need some trainers. So I would like to fill both of those roles for you for the price of one. You know what I mean? And it worked. So I got that job. So it's like, hey, I can provide value for you as a business. And here's why I should be hired because of X, Y, Z. So taking that leap of faith was like really calculated. Like it was very calculated to the point where I knew that my clients that I was training literally in my garage or in my house before or after work were going to come to this gym with me. And that would be a bonus for them because now they don't have to come to my house and train on my crappy equipment. They're going to come to a brand new gym that validates me as a trainer. And I'm adding value to a business. And I know that I have the income waiting for me and potentially at that new business that's going to support me walking away from this salary. So that was the first leap of faith. Then 2016. So I'd worked at that gym for like 3 years.
Just pay attention also to the creativity and the way that you got the job. Like most people wouldn't think to pair those two things up. So creativity, break your mind away from create as art. Like creativity was the way you structured that position. Sorry.
So 2016, I started like really wanting to focus on athletes. So at that gym, I was training just like anybody. I worked with athletes, but like I was training like moms, dads, you know, whoever. I was just a personal trainer. I didn't have like an identity yet and who I was as a trainer. So I started to like really fall in love with the idea of like specializing in athletes and basketball particularly at this point. I was coaching AAU at the time. I was working on some skill development stuff, but training was my main thing, like personal training. So I was like, I go to the gym owners and I'm like, hey, let's start a sports performance department. Like we should do that. We should tap into this market. And they were kind of like, like that's not our thing. Like, so we did it, we dabbled in it, but I never really got that like green light. So I was like, you know, now I'm forced to make a decision. Went to them like, hey, I want to start my own gym. That's when at the same time, like I met with my business partner that I have today, and he was on the same kind of like path as me. So I took another leap of faith. I said, okay, my clients are going to follow me to this new venture, with the caveat being like, eventually I'm going to move away from this population. Like, but in the meantime, like I would love for you to still join me in this venture. So I took a leap of faith, started working at a place that was just like a booth rent studio because like I wasn't going to just like pop up a gym overnight. So, but I knew that if I was focused on growing somebody else's business, then I wasn't going to be focused on growing mine or the idea. Mine was just a concept at the time. Like, so I started booth renting basically, you know, $550 a month. You come, you train whoever you want, however you want, whenever you want. There's 10 other trainers. It was a good like good experience to like work with all different kinds of people. But that was like my bridge that gave me time to not build that first gym that I was working at as an employee, to keep my clients engaged and grow my own like client list and name. But all the while I'm working on building Pace, like the gym that we ended up building. So that was a second leap of faith, doing that, and just the concept of like doing that is kind of crazy. And then the third was just opening it. You know what I mean? Like we opened up a 3,500 square foot facility in Castleton. We did that like with knowing nothing. Like Eric and I knew nothing about anything like of building a gym. Like we did a lot of it ourselves. Like we painted it ourselves. We did a lot of the demo. Like we helped the contractors literally do the work to save money. Borrowed money from the SBA, like that whole thing, like signing 3-year lease agreements, like all of that stuff was foreign to me. Mind you, I had back surgery during all this. So like it's funny, like on I think it was the SBA loan agreement that I signed. There's a section that says like you're not under the influence of like drugs and alcohol.
Your pain met it up,
dog. I had to Uber to the bank because I couldn't drive. I was whacked out of my mind because I had just had surgery like 5 days prior to this. So like I don't know if that's legally, like hopefully the statute of limitations is up.
You're good.
But yeah, did that, like that was crazy. So yeah, so we built that, outgrew it, and then took another leap of faith to go into a partnership with a place in Grand Park that was a pre-existing gym. Like we outgrew our gym, we needed more space. They had the space, needed the trainers, so we partnered with them. Ultimately, that didn't work out for us. And so now we're about to take another leap and basically go on another journey, opening up a new facility. But all the time, like you asked, was I talking to my family and things like that? My wife is like she's solid, rock solid. Like she was actually a teacher, which is crazy. When I first left my job, I was making more money than her. So then it flipped to me like, hey, I'm going to leave this salary job at a radio station. You're a teacher. We know what teachers make. Highly underpaid profession. Can you handle this while I build this up? She's like, yeah, I got you. All right, cool. So the thing is, like, it didn't just happen overnight. Like I didn't build it quickly at all. Like there was some dark times, right? So she's like unhappy with her job. I'm cool with her getting out of teaching because I'm like, you can probably make more money doing something. So I actually helped her, going back to creativity. I helped her. I'm going to tell you another story that not a lot of people know. I helped her get a job in sales. So now she's at a really big company called Seismic. She was at a company called Lessonly that got acquired by Seismic. So here's a cool story. Now teaching is it's a one-track like profession. Yeah. You go to get your education degree. You don't use LinkedIn. You apply with a resume, cover letter, probably to where you student taught at. In that district. Like it's a very like this is the steps that you have to take, right?
You go get your master's.
Yes, all that, right? So she was teaching for 7 years. And when I started the gym, I was not paying myself like at all because we had bills to pay, and I believe like you got to keep the lights on before you pay yourself. So we're like, it's getting ugly. You know what I mean? You're making $39,000 a year. I'm making like $12,000 a year the first year. So like she was unhappy with teaching anyway, but just because like it wasn't fulfilling her anymore because it was so stressful. And we're like looking for jobs. We see Lessonly, and I'm like, that looks like a cool, really cool place to work. And they're hiring like for SDRs, which is like bottom of the totem pole. But that's a good place for you to start because, again, you have 7 years of nothing but teaching. Right. Which I think translates to everything. But in the professional world,
I don't see that.
It doesn't. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you don't have sales experience? Like, why do you think you could be in sales? You know what I mean?
I sold a classroom of 7-year-olds to sit in their chair all day long and listen to me. That's sales.
I did everything. So I actually designed her resume to like stand out. Like it wasn't like a teacher resume is Microsoft Word bullet points. Like you might use a bold font for your name, but that's as creative as it gets. So I had like her picture was on it. Like it was teal and yellow. Like I matched it to Lesson Lee's branding. Like, and the first thing on her interview they said was like, your resume was amazing. Like it caught our eye. Like, how'd you do that? And she was like, oh, I did it on Canva, but I did it on Photoshop. None of her coworkers know to this day. She didn't do her resume or cover letter or anything.
Yeah, you gotta tell her that we talk about this, and if you want this edited out, I'll cut it out for you.
I finessed it for her. So like we always joke about that because she's climbed up now. Like she's like big time, like in her space, and she's really freaking good at her job. And so like she's won awards and like getting to that level where she might start doing like some speaking and I'm like, you gotta keep that story like in your back pocket because you might not, I'm not taking credit by any means for like, she killed the interview obviously, but you're going from teaching to a profession that is like, they want the sales experience. They want you to have that background, and that resume caught their eye, and it's like, what if they didn't take a chance on you? You know what I mean? So like, that's a great story for her to tell about, you know, her own journey. And like, obviously she capitalized on all the opportunities that she had, killed the interview, worked her way up, and she's like in a director role now. But it's just crazy how all the things align where, you know, she has consistently had my back where if I'm like going to take a leap, she's going to level up, and then we're like, all right, I'll wait on you. You level up, you get to a point where like if it goes completely wrong and what I'm about to do, that we're still going to be good to fall back on you. And then when we do that, we just like trade, you know what I mean, where she'll level up and I'll take the leap, or you know, I'll level up and she'll take a back seat, or whatever the case may be. So it's just constantly just trying to be on the same page and communicate with her and make sure that we're locked in and we're communicating about like some of the risks and the potential rewards. So
I love it. And I love that she didn't, I mean, I hate to see people leaving the teaching profession.
Yeah.
But I love to see her not stay in something that wasn't fulfilling and she wasn't loving. So
yeah, it was tough. It really started when we had kids, like, because she was like, I am so frustrated with, I take care of everybody else's kids all day, and I get home and I'm so frustrated with the stress of the job that I'm like taking it out on my own kids. Not that she's number one mom, but it's like that trade-off for her wasn't worth it. So when she told me that, I was like, no, you're gone. Like, we're going to get you a job for sure. Like, let me open Photoshop and get this resume going.
That's so awesome. And also, so like, sometimes you need a little help.
Yeah.
Like the help she needed was just the design for the resume to pop, and then she could run with it. Like, we can't, and this is something I probably have slowed my personal growth up, is like, I try to do everything myself. And sometimes you need to let somebody help you to be able to get you past that little hurdle, and then you run the rest of the way. Like,
well, yeah,
nothing wrong with having some help.
She's so good at her job now. Like, now I don't really write an email without her proofreading it. Like, especially if I'm asking for something, like whether it be monetary or just like somebody's time. Like, she's inviting guests on my podcast. Like, she's asking, like, she's so good at the communication piece and just like the sales process in general that I'm like, oh my God, like, I have to steal her whole recipe because she's at that level now where I see the value in how she talks to people and how she like has the processes in place that she has. And I'm like, it's all right there. So now it's flipped where I'm stealing everything from her for my own personal use that has nothing to do with sales at all. It's just like the structure, like the sales structure, it has a lot of carryover to other aspects, other industries, I think.
I'm thinking we got to do a round two. Maybe it'll be a shorter episode, but I wanted to hit on.
I don't even know what time it is.
No, we're good. We're good. We're right at an hour. I'm gonna run this a little bit longer. But I wanted to hit on like your personal branding and how you've gone about that, which is I think could be like a special episode type of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll table that for another one because I think what you're doing is great, and obviously you have a creative mind behind doing it. So I think people could benefit from that. So if you're down to have that conversation, we'll do a round 2 sometime soon.
I'm always down.
But I want to hit you with some quick questions. So when I was on your show, you asked me the Rushmore of rap, and my dumb ass went 5 artists instead of 4, not realizing there's only 4. I'm not going to ask you your Mount Rushmore of rap, but I'm going to ask you your Rushmore of ball. Who's your 4?
So are we doing personal favorites or just best?
Personal. Your personal.
Okay. That is tough. Personal favorites.
Yep.
Because I don't want people to be like, oh, you didn't put so-and-so on there.
It's
like,
not.
It's who I like.
Yeah.
It's my preference.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to go Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Allen Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
This is really tough. Because I love a lot of basketball players. Kobe, Allen Iverson. I'm going to go MJ.
So I'm about to kick you out of this room if you didn't say MJ, man.
I'm going to go MJ. And then, gosh, I got 2 names in my head that I'm torn on.
I went 5.
So you went 5?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's Vince Carter.
Okay.
And this is going to surprise a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo Anthony.
Okay.
So I was going back and forth on Vince Carter and Carmelo Anthony, but like I'm a 80s baby, barely 89. So like I grew up, I saw Kobe's whole career. I love LeBron, but those 4 guys, Kobe, AI, MJ, and Vince Carter, bro.
That already answers. So my
you
other
couldn't tell me I wasn't them growing
up. My follow-up question was going to be: there's always the debate between MJ and LeBron. I think it's MJ and Kobe. So you already said that you like LeBron, but Kobe. So Kobe wins that one.
Dude, I love LeBron. Love LeBron.
I love LeBron more off the court than I do on the court. I can't I take it back. I enjoy watching him play. I have mad respect for what he's done as a player.
Yeah.
He's a freak, great ball player. But I like his whininess and everything bothers me more than anything.
Yeah.
But like what he's done off the court with the schools, like that's what makes me a big LeBron fan.
Dude.
I respect him as an athlete, but like what he's done, family man, all that stuff, like off the court is where I really like him.
Yeah. Such a clean record. Like never in trouble, never in drama.
And trust me, there are people trying.
There's people
to get him in
trying
trouble.
actively. Like married his high school sweetheart. Seems like a great dad, great dude, super supportive. Like, yeah, I love LeBron. But like those 4 guys, bro, man, like especially Vince Carter.
So I have 2. So the purple wristband over there, I can't confirm it, but that's Kobe's wristband.
What?
So my dad used to work security at the Pacer games. We knew the guy who owned the security company. So my dad's job at Pacer games was he was one of the guards that stood underneath the basket.
Yep.
Watch the game, and then he would walk the opposing team's players to the buses. So
awesome.
He's walked AI, he's walked Vince, he's walked Kobe, and had short conversations with him. So he brought that home. I mean, technically my dad could have lied, but I know he wouldn't lie about that.
Nah.
And then I also have a pair of socks at home that AI wore when he had like 48 against the Pacers.
That's
he brought
sick.
them home in a plastic bag, all sweaty and dewy. Like, do I like take these out? Like, what do I do? Like, it's got AI sweat. Like, so.
Dude.
So yeah, I have that wristband there.
I got a kind of funny like follow up for that. So, like I said, Vince Carter, right?
Yep.
So I grew up a North Carolina Tar Heel fan. Vince Carter, obviously, Michael Jordan, like. I've always loved like Carolina basketball. You know, from the jerseys first attracted me. Then I started learning about the game. So like my whole life, UNC.
Yep, that's how I've been.
So my aunt, she was really high up at Wells Fargo, and she did like some kind of like keynote speaking thing for like one of their events. I don't know what it was. So she calls me on the way home. Was like, "Hey, I got a gift for you. Like, you're gonna love it." I'm like, all right, I don't know what it is at all. And I unwrap it, and it's autograph. It's Coach K's autograph, though. And so I'm like conflicted because I'm like, I'm a Duke, no, like Duke fan, no, at all. So Probably my best autograph, like memorabilia, is Coach K's autograph, which like, I mean, I respect it. I love him. He's a GOAT. But like I'm a Tar Heel, so it's in storage.
I have an advisor who sent me Coach K's book, that Leading with the Heart, and Coach K is signed inside of it.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, I don't know how he got it, but yeah, that's awesome. One of the coolest things that I've had somebody gift me, and all I did was spend some time with him. It was pretty cool. All right, back to the questions. I know you're a shoe guy. You can pick one shoe to hoop and train in forever. Current shoe, old shoe, like what's your one shoe?
So, God, that is tough, bro. That is tough. Okay, this is why. Okay, so it's not the best shoe, it's not my favorite shoe, but I had the Allen Iverson Reebok. I think they were the Answers.
The ones that tied up the middle?
The zip up.
Oh, the zip up. Okay, yeah.
They were black and white with the zip. It was like a quarter zip.
Mm-hmm.
And I balled in those. Like I was feeling those shoes, like feeling myself in those shoes. But I brought them to school with me, and I left them in first period. And when I realized that I had forgotten them around like third period, went back to my class in first period, and they were gone. Somebody stole them. So I just always was like, and like I said, like I couldn't get everything I wanted growing up. You know what I mean? I couldn't go like, Dad, I need a new pair of shoes. Like that was my one pair of shoes for the year. Like we would get one pair of shoes per year, and I'm like, damn. So I got to go back to last year's pair, and I don't know. There's something about those shoes, like they're black and white, which is like so my style. You know, and like I got neutral colors on always, partially because I'm colorblind, but yeah, it was just if I could rock those again, feel like I could get loose in those.
I remember those. So you don't know who took your shoes. I had the up tempos, the all black ones that said Air on the side with the bubble. At open gym, I let one of my teammates. He needed some shoes, and he never gave them back. And I was too chicken shit to like try to get them back. I would have got beat up trying to get them back. So I know exactly who it is too. Like I won't put him on blast. I know exactly who it was.
That sucks.
So my shoe would be the Jordan 11s, the white and black.
Those are classic.
The
best Jordan hooping shoe is the 11.
I don't know how. The only shoes I would ever play in, if I was lucky enough to play professionally, is the 11s and the white and black ones. Or like I like the low top Kobe's.
Yeah.
Anything else, I don't think I would like. I don't know why. Like I'm with you. I know you like Puma and the Pumas. Like I have some J. Cole's. I like those.
Pumas are nice.
Like I have some retro 11s, and like when I wear them, to your point, I just feel different.
Yeah. Like
if I know it's a big day, like I'm wearing my 11s. Who in the profession do you look up to? So is there somebody
that's tough
in the training world that you look up to?
I never really had a mentor at all because I didn't take that traditional route. But there's a dude locally here. His name's Mike Robertson.
Okay.
He owns a gym called iFast in Fishers that he's like a pioneer in a way. I read a lot of his stuff when I was like self-educating. And when I graduated, I again was just trying to like figure it out, you know what I mean? Graduated college, so I didn't have an internship, which was like a big requirement in this industry. So I actually enrolled as a member at his gym and told them like, hey, this is my situation. I want to be a trainer. I heard through, various reviews, you guys are the best in town. And I also, spent a lot of time reading Mike's articles, watching his DVDs and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm not asking for an internship. I'm going to pay $250 a month for this membership. Like I also want to get really strong and bouncy, but kind of tell me why you're doing certain things, like guide me a little bit more. And so I've always just like admired that about Mike and his partner, Bill Hartman, and the trainer that they had at the time. His name was Ty Terrell. I think he's with the Hawks now. Okay. He was like my primary trainer. Like I worked with him every day. And just the fact, like how they took me in, like knowing that eventually I was going to be quote unquote competition to them, and just still kind of showed me the game and showed me certain exercises and talked to me like different than a normal client. because you're not going to tell clients everything you know
Right.
about the science
Mhm.
of what an exercise does. But they talked to me like knowing I wanted to learn that stuff,
Mhm.
and I just always felt that was cool. So
Mhm.
I definitely got a lot of respect for Mike Robertson, Bill Hartman, Ty Terrell, the guys, just the general like business IFAST, because they kind of showed me the way, and they didn't have to.
Mhm. That's pretty cool on multiple fronts. One, on your willingness to pay to have access to be closer
Right,
to
yeah,
these guys. Not,
yeah.
'cause I'm sure a lot of people ask them, and they probably
Right.
do willingly, like do pick your brain sessions. But the fact that you were willing to put money down to get access to them was pretty
Right.
cool. And if you're ever, I'm sure you will, but anybody out there, if you're on the other end of a younger person up and coming, wanting
Yep.
to learn from you, like there are people who are going to suck information from you and not be grateful for it, but there are people who show things like you did that are like, I really want to learn and you're the best.
Right.
And if this is the only way I can do it, and the fact that they did talk to you differently and kind of treat you to kind of groom you is pretty cool. And just goes back to like an abundance mindset. So yeah, you might be competition one day, but they can always serve so
Right,
many people.
yeah,
And who's to say that you didn't go work with them? Like they could have been grooming you to work
Right,
with them.
yeah.
So I think an abundance mindset always wins out. It's not
Yep.
always the easiest thing to do, but that's there. All right. I'm going to preface this. This is not trained because I don't want to get you fired by any of your players.
Oh,
Best player you played against on any level. Could be high school, could be pickup games at Ball State, but best player you ever played against.
dude, that is tough. So in my conference,
Mm-hmm.
my high school career, Greg Oden and Mike Conley
Mm-hmm.
were there the first 2 years. My junior year, it became Eric Gordon and Jeff Teague.
Mm-hmm.
And then my senior year, it became Gordon Hayward,
Mm-hmm.
Julian Mavunga, Kelsey Barlow. Like, so play is a stretch because we played Eric Gordon my junior year, but I didn't get in the game.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
he dropped 50 on us, and we won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we won. But I didn't touch the floor. I had the best seat in the house,
Uh-huh.
right on the end of the bench. I would say, like, because I want to go with somebody like I guarded.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that I played against. In AAU,
Mm-hmm.
I was playing in a tournament called the Adidas May Classic,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I played against the Lopez brothers,
Okay.
Brooke and
Oh,
Robin
yeah,
Lopez.
Yeah,
And so I was like a 2-3, but I
Mhm.
was like bigger.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just a little stockier, stronger. And our big man was gone for that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
like
had to go to the Lopez brothers?
at a certain times of the game, we went zone.
Uh-huh.
But like certain times of the game, it was me and like Brooke Lopez. And so
man.
I got dominated in that game. And so that was a rough go.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes to mind. But oh man, there's a lot of names. I would say like just off a pure like craziest thing I've ever seen on a court, I got to go back to Eric Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I didn't physically guard him,
Mm-hmm.
like Eric Gordon was the most insane
Mm-hmm.
person I've ever seen on a basketball court.
I have
Like,
a funny story.
period.
I don't know if I told this on yours. I think we touched on some of this, but so Jason Gardner is a year older than I am at North Central.
Yep.
And I grew up at the Jordan YMCA, and that's right by North Central. So all the guys at North Central would be there. So, summer pickup balls, I was around him and his brother. And the junior year, we played Lawrence North first game of the year, and then we played North Central second game. So I'm starting as a junior. I did tell this on your show, but not really watches it. I won't tell the second part. I get the ball, like first possession, and Jason's guarding me. And for those of you who don't know, Jason Gardner was Mr. Basketball. I was showing highlights of him to my boys because he has a son, Jason, that
Jason's
is in
good.
8th grade now. And moved
Little
up to Arizona.
Jason's
Yeah.
good.
So I was like, well, you think he's good? Look at his dad. So Jason was Mr. Basketball. He went to Arizona, was a 4-time All-American, was National Player of the Year, I think his junior year.
I would say, not to interrupt, he was the best player that never made it to the NBA.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of a better player that
Yeah.
never – and he had a great, successful career.
Yeah.
But, like, I just don't understand that.
So back to my junior year, he's guarding me. Like the first 3 times I touched the ball, I didn't dribble. I was
I feel
afraid to put
I
the
feel
ball
that.
down. And then I finally loosened up. I think I had a decent game for that one, but
Yep.
I never would have expected that I would open up and Jason was guarding me. Now I didn't guard him, but I legit played against him.
Yeah.
And then I think I also talked about it, but Andre Owens is still like local, and playing against him like in the Nike league we played in the summer. And then I never forget my senior year, he killed us, had 40, and he was going up the sideline, went through somebody's leg, did a reverse dunk. And we had these breakaway rims that like rarely broke away, and when they broke away, they got stuck down. So he did this reverse dunk and broke the rim down.
Damn.
And they like stopped the game to pop it back up.
That's fire.
But yeah, so
that's fire.
It's fun to reminisce. It's cool to see those guys like still doing their thing and playing. All right, I'm gonna go back to more of a serious question. So those were the fun ones. You mentioned, you know, you've had levels of success, and I think that like humility is something that's a fine line. I think it's okay to be, you know, proud and talk about the successes we've had without having to downplay them. But you said something that caught my ear. That was, you're not where you want to be. So how do you define success for yourself?
So it probably changes every day. But I would say right now my main focus is like not financial. It's just more like who I'm serving. So I want to get to a point where I'm working with the best basketball players in the world, or people that want to be. So I'm not saying I only want to train pros or adults, but like a kid like Roman who has that like fire in his heart, and he, you know, whether or not he makes it or becomes a good player, like I can see his approach, and he's like dedicated. So want to work with people like that, and obviously that's gonna condense my clients to a little bit more of like a smaller number. With that, I want to grow some of the other trainers and previous interns that I've had in the past by bridging that gap and saying like, hey, you know, I'm focused on this kind of group, but if you want to train, you can train with Tavon or Maddie or Adam or whoever, and then utilize that extra time to like just be more around the family. So spend more time with my kids. If I can master that, then that's success for me.
Okay, that's a good answer. All right, final question. You are getting paid to speak. You're walking out.
Oh, I know
what's coming. Song. What's going to be your walkout song?
So the crazy thing is, you asked me this on my own podcast.
Yeah.
So my answer is different.
Okay, I love it.
Man, that's tough because on my podcast, I said Nipsey Hussle, Hustle and Motivate.
Yeah.
Still a great song. Love it. But you might have to put some audio into this because I doubt that a lot of your listeners have heard Rod Wave.
Okay, yeah.
It's a song called Rod Wave, or it's a song by Rod Wave. It's called Get Ready.
Okay.
And the whole first verse is just like fire.
Okay.
Like it's just like,
I would say try again next year, but next year will probably be my best year.
and I'm just like, yeah, that's me. Like next year is gonna be my best year. And then I'm gonna look back on what I did and be like, yeah, I was ready for that. Like it's all about like you don't have to get ready if you stay ready type. You know what I mean? So like we talked about, some people aren't ready for success. Like I truly believe like I'm built for whatever comes my way, good or bad. And so that's kind of what the song is about. So
well,
a little snippet in there.
Yeah, we'll get in there. And as
stuff.
DG would say, Derek would say, like your net worth will never exceed your self-worth, which same thing as success. Like you can't be successful until you believe that you can be successful. Then you can. I feel like you and I are the same, that we pull confidence and motivation from like lyrics of songs. To the thing, what you just mentioned is the thing I do. Like I find lyrics in song that like, or songs in general that speak to me, that like they pump me up. So I think that like my overall level of confidence and self-belief is part, you know, instilled from my parents. It's part just genetically who I am, but I also think it's part the influence of hip hop. Like for whatever reason, I see through all the like the negative of hip hop, and I find the songs and the parts of the songs that have the confidence, and like there's once the silly things, and then we'll wrap up. So I try to get Roman to get this way, and he has his music that he likes, but I try to play some old stuff. And I loved Naughty by Nature when they first came out. And there was this one song, I think it was Take It to Your Face. And like they would play it, and the chorus is Take It to Your Face, and it'd be like, yeah. And I envisioned in my mind, I could never dunk regularly, but I envisioned in my mind the way the beat hit and everything, it was Take It to Your Face, and it would be a dunk. Like I can envision like a Jordan highlight reel to this song. But I found these songs that had nothing to do with basketball at the time, but I would interpret them as like, I'm taking it to you on the court, not the way they're taking it. So
music is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big music guy. Like I think on my Spotify like yearly wrapped up thing, I was like in the top 10% of music listened to, something like 64,000 minutes of music, or I don't remember, but it's like, I identify with certain songs and certain like, just like, I don't know, themes of like struggle, overcoming things, or, you know, just like, and I just attach them to like what I'm going through at that time in my life. And I don't know, it just clicks sometimes. It just like makes sense. So.
All right, well, we'll do a part 2 at some point, and I want to get your branding creativity mind out there. Maybe what we'll try to do is talk about how you're doing it and make it more of a episode that's like, here's 5 things to try to build your own personal brand, because I do think that's a part of a lot of people's pursuits. Is now we live in this world where we have the ability to take who we are and our reputation and package it up in a way that will attract people to help us grow our business. So I think that'd be a fun conversation between the two of us. In the meantime, where can everybody find you? Drop all the social handles, all that type of stuff.
So basically everything is Justin Ochoa 317. Okay. So last name is Ochoa. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter, Justin Ochoa 317. Everything else, like, you can stem out from there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'll link to all that stuff.
Yeah,
too.
link to that, and you can find me. You know, reach out, shoot a DM, like, get some feedback on the show, like, that'd be dope. And check out my podcast, Gym Sessions.
Yeah, I'll link to that as well, and I'll revisit our episode as well.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you as well, being patient as I set up the studio.
Dude,
and man, I'm so pissed I'm pissed that camera didn't work, because I had that father-son moment that was going to be so special.
Oh, my God.
And the camera didn't get it. So they're going to get it from, like, the side angle. It'll still be good, though.
Yeah.
I'm bummed on that. Lessons learned. All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yep.
Like, seriously, like, it's weird. I think every episode's my best episode. Let's get it back. It's not my best episode, but the guest is the best guest. There's so much in your story that I'm just like mentally going through. I'm like, oh, that's a clip. That's a clip. That's a clip. Because there's so much about what you've done and how you've approached it and creativity that embodies pursuit way more than I thought. Like,
this was so fun, dude.
I knew it was going to be a good conversation.
It was so fun.
And I knew we would have a lot of good stuff. And I knew we would inspire you, not me. You would inspire people. But I had no idea, like, seriously, like, I threw this out because the conversation was so good, and we went in places I didn't know we were going to go. So this is really a good one. I'm excited to get it out there. And, you know, leave comments. This is something that I'm trying to do is, I'll be honest, I'll be upfront. So, like, I have a client that is really successful, and her publicist said, do not go on a podcast that does not have more than 10,000 reviews. So, like, one day I want to have Kendrick Lamar and Rick Rubin and all these awesome people on the podcast. And then I want to follow that up with Justin Ochoa. Like, I want to do both. But I don't like asking for comments and reviews. So what I'm doing instead is, the genuine part of it is, I want you all to give Justin feedback. Like, what did you hear from this story that motivated you or that you're going to take to your pursuit? Like, put it in the comments. Let Justin know. The byproduct of that, and the reason I think this will work, is I want you to get that feedback, but in the feedback helps the show as well.
For sure.
So leave comments for Justin. Know that it will help me out as well. But I don't want that show was awesome. Like, I want you to hear the impact you had on people through this podcast and do it through the comments. So leave some comments down below.
I love it, man.
All right, man. Again, final thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's always an honor to have you here. It's an honor to be a part of your pursuit, and let's keep pursuing.